Listen, I love going after entitled rich people as much as the next guy, but are we really going to forget who the real villain is here? The airlines. It's always the airlines. All and every of the times, it's the airlines. It doesn't matter if you're Stalin himself. If the debate is you versus the airline, I'm sorry. So Jessica Chastain tweeted about not receiving in-flight entertainment that she was promised on a 6-hour JetBlue flight. So she's rich. So it's easy to go after someone who's griping over a $15 credit when, yes, there are bigger problems in the world. But as a fellow poor, I am here to ask you, are there? Allow me to walk you through this one. Some of you weren't around for this, but back in my day, a plane ticket entitled you to certain things. 2 free checked bags, carry-ons galore, the ability to recline your seat without taking a nap in someone else's in-flight meal, of which there were many, the ability to exist tallly. Now maybe it's the memory of this bygone era that haunts us, but I genuinely believe that there is nothing more rage-inducing than getting nickel and dimed so thoroughly you feel like a 30-year-old slot machine sitting at the back of a dive, being run ragged by a local for the 7th hour in a row because he is convinced he can get more winnings out of you if he just coaxes them out. Between the seat selection fees, the checked bag fees, the ever-shrinking carry-on allowances, which, by the way, I am convinced they advertise as larger than the actual size testers at the airport. Prove me wrong. The $20 quarter-size sodas, cold and clammy sandwiches that have both the texture and the flavor of having sat in the back of my freezer for 3.5 years. Not to mention the surprise carry-on size checks past security at the gate, moments away from boarding, where they charge you more to check a bag than they do at check-in, looking at you, TAP, which we all know stands for take another plane, but to then discover that the one, and I mean one, piece of this entire experience that you could ostensibly convince yourself is almost a pleasure, at least close enough to one to allow your brain to block out the rest of it just enough to get you through, is just not available. And you don't even find out until you're already strapped in to the sardine can with wings, though the sardines have more dignity and are 30,000 feet into the air. Sure, you could have planned ahead for this, packed a novel, maybe a book of Sudoku, but what is this, the 90s? Space is at a premium. I used to fly with multiple Harry Potter books in my backpack without a care in the world, because that is the luxury we did not realize we were living with. Besides, if you pay for good seats, $3 grand between the two of them, you should be able to expect the one thing that makes this whole nightmare bearable will work. I know. She's rich, you say. She can afford the additional bag fees. She can afford the extra room for activities. But you know what doesn't change no matter your tax bracket? The goddamn principle of the matter. It's the principle. Are there bigger problems in the world? Sure. Fine. But you know what? Twitter isn't just for the big problems in the world. It is also, by definition, for the 240 character-sized problems in the world. And maybe you've never known this kind of rage before, but let me tell you, the last several times I have flown, I had this exact thing happen to me on 6 to 7 hour flights. The tickets usually cost close to $1,000 for economy poor. Does that make me rich? No. It just makes flights expensive because the airlines are the bad guys. Jessica Chastain, I hear you. I see you. JetBlue may have denied you that last shred of dignity, but I will not deny you this one. I am dead serious about all of this, by the way.